There is a word the Prophet ﷺ used for tying a living animal to a post and shooting arrows at it until it died. It is the same word we translate as patience. Not a related word, not a word from the same neighborhood, the same word, the same 3 letters, the same root, sad, ba, ra. And once you know that, you cannot read the Qur'an's commands to have Ṣabr the way you read them yesterday. Because patience, in English, is a word about time. It means waiting something out, sitting still while the clock does the work, enduring until the thing passes. That is not what this root says. That is not close to what this root says. Here is the claim this study is going to make, and I want it on the table before the evidence rather than after it. Sabr does not name the passing of time. It names what you hold in place while time passes. It is a grip, not a weight. And I will be honest with you about the limit of that claim as we go, because the classical dictionaries do list endurance inside this root's meaning, and I am not going to pretend they don't. But endurance is downstream. The thing underneath it, the physical picture the Arabs had when they used this word, is restraint, holding, binding something so it cannot leave. Start with the hardest piece of evidence, because it is the one that cannot be argued into meaning patience. Anas ibn Malik reports it, and it is in Sahih Muslim, number 1956. He walked in on some young men who had tied a hen up and were practicing archery on it. And he said, "The Prophet ﷺ forbade this." Ibn Umar reports the same prohibition, harder, in Sahih al-Bukhari 5515 and in Muslim, that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ cursed whoever takes a living thing as a target. Now, the Arabic word in that prohibition is from our root. The scholars call the practice Sabr al-Baha'im, and al-Nawawi, commenting on Muslim, explains exactly what it means. To tie an animal up while it is still alive in order to harm it by practicing on it. Sit with that for a moment. A word cannot mean patience and also mean tying a living creature to a stake. Those are not two senses of one word. They are 2 different words. Unless, and this is the whole study, unless what the root actually means is neither of those things. Unless it means to bind, to hold in place, to prevent from leaving. And both of those usages are downstream of that one picture. Tie an animal so it cannot escape. You have performed Ṣabr on it. Tie your own soul so it cannot escape. You have performed Ṣabr on yourself. Same action, different object. So how did we get from there to patience? Translation is not a neutral act. Every translator has to reach for the nearest word in their own language, and the nearest English word to a concept of held firmness under pressure was patience. It is not a bad choice. It is the best single word available. But English words carry their own history, and patience comes from the Latin patiens, suffering, undergoing, being acted upon. Its root idea is passivity. The patient is the one things are done to. So an English reader picks up the Qur'an, reads a command to have patience, and hears, "Endure this quietly. Wait, let it pass over you." An Arabic reader picks up the same command and hears a verb of action. Grip this, hold. Do not let go of the thing you are holding. Those are not the same instruction. One of them asks you to do nothing well. The other asks you to do something hard, continuously, for as long as it takes. You can test a root by looking at its relatives. Arabic roots throw off whole families of words, and the family resemblance tells you what the root is really about. Ṣabr. Sabir from this root is the aloe plant, named for its bitterness. That should stop you. If this root meant serene endurance, its plant would not be the bitter one. Sabr is not a pleasant stillness. The word's own family tree tastes of something you would spit out. Ṣabr, and its plural asbar, is the edge, the rim, the brim, the side of a vessel, the part that holds the contents in, the thing that stops what is inside from spilling out. That is the shape of this root. Containment, a boundary that holds. And then there is as-Sabr among the names of Allah, rendered in English as the patient. But read it against the root, and it is not a picture of God waiting. It is a picture of God withholding, holding back a consequence that could have fallen already and has not. That is a very different attribute from patience. That is restraint with power behind it. Now to the Qur'an and to the verse that made me want to make this study. Surah al-Kahf, verse 28. And hold yourself with those who call upon their Lord morning and evening, seeking His face. The verb is wasbir, and its object is nafsaka, your own soul. Read the English translations, and most of them give you something like, be patient with those who call upon their Lord, which sounds like, put up with them, tolerate their company. But the Arabic does not say, be patient with them. It says, Sabr, your soul, alongside them. Bind yourself to that company, tie yourself there, and do not drift. And the context makes it sharper still. This verse comes down about the poor believers around the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the ones the Quraysh nobility wanted removed from the gathering before they would sit and listen. Send those people away, they said, and then we will talk. The answer is no. Tie yourself to them. If you have watched the study on the owners of the garden, you have seen this exact fault line before. Men with wealth arranging for the poor to be somewhere else. The Qur'an keeps returning to it, and here the counter-command is not be patient about it. It is hold your position next to them. Surah Al-Imran ends with a verse that puts our word beside two others, and the company it keeps tells you what it is. O you who believe, have sabr and outlast, and tie yourselves fast, and be conscious of Allah, so that you may succeed. 3 imperatives, escalating. Isbiru, hold. Sabiru, a form that means to do it against someone else who is also doing it. Hold them. Whoever is trying to make you let go, hold longer than they can. Rabitu, and this is the one. It is from a completely different root, ra, ba, fa, and it means to tie. Literally, it is the word for tethering a horse at the frontier, ready. The noun, ribat, is the tether itself. So the verse moves, hold, outhold, tether yourself. If sabr meant waiting, that sequence would be nonsense. You cannot escalate from waiting to tethering. But if sabr already means holding, the verse is one clean gradient, and it ends with the physical picture that was underneath the word the whole time. That verse is worth staying with because it puts 3 different forms of this root in front of you. And Arabic verb forms are not decoration. Each one changes who is doing what to whom. Isbiru is the simple form. You hold, the action stops with you. Sabiru is form 3, and form 3 in Arabic is the form of doing something at someone. Mutual, contested. Qapala is not to kill. It is to fight because someone is fighting back. So sabiru is not holding. It is out holding. There is a party on the other side with their own grip and their own stamina, and you are being told to last past them. And then there is form 8, istabara, which the Qur'an uses in Taha and again in Surah Maryam. فَاعْبُدُوا وَاصْطَبِرْ لِعِبَادَاتِهِ. Worship him and hold to his worship. Form 8 in Arabic tends to turn the action inward, onto the doer. You are not holding a thing out there, you are holding yourself to it. So the root gives you 3 postures: hold, out hold, hold yourself. Not one of the 3 is a posture of waiting. All 3 are things you do with muscles. Watch what sabr is attached to when the Qur'an uses it, because a word is known by the company it keeps. Surah Taha, verse 132. And instruct your family in prayer and hold firmly to it. وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. Not wait for it, hold upon it. The preposition is doing real work. You are holding onto a thing, gripping it, the way you grip something that is trying to get away from you. Anyone who has tried to keep a household praying consistently knows precisely which of those 2 readings is true to the experience. Nothing about it is waiting. And this is the pattern throughout. Sabr in the Qur'an is almost never paired with stillness. It is paired with prayer, with striving, with spending, with standing firm at a frontier, with speaking truth. It is the word for what holds an action together over time, not the word for the time. There is a second test you can run on a word, and it is even simpler than looking at its relatives. Look at what it is paired with. Surah al-Baqarah, verse 45. Seek help through sabr and through prayer. 2 things named together as the source of help, and nobody has ever read the second one as passive. Prayer is a thing you get up and do at fixed times, whether or not you feel like it, with your body. It is one of the most physically demanding disciplines the religion asks of an ordinary person. If sabr meant waiting, that pairing would be strange. Seek help through doing nothing and through prayer. But if sabr means holding, the pair is perfectly matched. 2 disciplines, 2 things you do on purpose when everything in you would rather not. And it is not an isolated pairing. Luqman, giving his son the short list of what actually matters, in Surah Luqman, verse 17, My son, establish the prayer, enjoin what is right, forbid what is wrong, and hold upon whatever strikes you. Look at the order. 3 active commands. Pray, speak up for what is right, speak against what is wrong, and then sabr. It is not offered as an alternative to the 3. It is the thing that makes the 3 survivable. Because a man who does those things in public will have something strike him for it. Sabr is the grip that keeps the other 3 in your hands. There is a phrase that deserves its own section because it is the one most often reduced to a fridge magnet. Sabrun jamīl. Beautiful sabrun. Yaqub says it in Surah Yusuf when his sons come to him with a shirt full of false blood. So beautiful sabr. And it is Allah whose help is sought against what you describe. The classical commentators are specific about what makes sabr jamīl. It is sabr with no complaint made to created things, not sabr without grief. Yaqub weeps until he loses his sight, and the Qur'an records it without embarrassment. The beauty is not in feeling nothing. The beauty is in where the grief is taken, which means beautiful sabr is a grip on the tongue. It is holding something in, the thing the root has meant all along, while taking it to the only place it can actually go. That is not waiting. A man who is waiting is doing nothing. Yaqub is doing something extremely difficult, continuously, for years. Now the passage that tells you the most about this word, and it is in the same surah we were in earlier, Surah al-Kahf. Musa meets a man who has been given knowledge from Allah and asks to follow him and learn. And the answer he gets is not yes or no. It is a diagnosis. You will not be able to have Ṣabr with me. And then the reason in the very next verse. And this is the line I would put on the wall. And how can you hold upon what you have no knowledge encompassing? Read that with patience in it, and it is nearly meaningless. How can you be patient about something you don't understand? People are patient about things they don't understand, constantly. That is most of being patient. Read it with holding in it, and it is suddenly a precise statement about how human beings actually work. You cannot grip what you cannot see the shape of. That is the claim. Sabr is not a mood you summon. It is a hold, and a hold needs a handle. You have to be able to see enough of the thing to get your hands around it. Musa is not being told he is weak. He is being told he is about to watch 3 events whose reasons are hidden from him, and that no amount of willpower substitutes for the knowledge that would let him hold on through them. And watch how he fails. 3 times, and every single time the failure is his mouth. A boat gets damaged and he objects. A boy is killed and he objects, harder. A wall gets rebuilt for people who refused them food and he objects again. He does not run. He does not abandon the journey. He walks the entire road. What slips every time is his tongue, which brings us straight back to Yaqub, because that is the same failure point, and Yaqub is the one who held it. Sabrun jamīl, a grip on the tongue. Musa, one of the greatest of the messengers, could not keep that grip for 3 events in a row without the knowledge to make sense of them. That should be a relief to you, not a rebuke. The Qur'an is telling you that the reason your sabr keeps failing in a particular situation may not be a defect in your character. It may be that you are being asked to hold something you have not been given enough of to see, and it tells you what to do about it, not try harder. The passage's answer is knowledge. Go and learn what the thing actually is. That is why this story sits in a surah full of people who did not understand what they were looking at. Here is the closing argument, and it is a simple one. Arabic has a word for waiting, intizar, from the root noon, ra. To wait, to expect, to look out for something coming. The Qur'an uses it plainly when waiting is what it means. So wait. Indeed, I am with you among those who wait. That is what waiting looks like in the Qur'an's own vocabulary. It has the word. It uses the word. And when it commands sabr, it is not reaching for that word and missing. 2 different roots, 2 different actions. English collapsed them into one, and we have been reading the collapsed version. If you want one place where the whole argument of this video is compressed into 3 lines, it is a surah most of us memorized as children. Surah al-Asr, by time. Indeed, mankind is in loss, except those who believe and do righteous deeds and counsel one another to truth and counsel one another to sabr. Look at what the surah swears by. Al-Asr, time, the passing age. And the very next thing it says is that time is where human beings are being lost. So time is not the remedy in this surah. Time is the problem, the thing running you down. And then the exception clause. The only way out of the loss has 4 items, and the last one is ours. Now try reading it as waiting. Time is destroying you. The exception is people who wait. That is incoherent. Waiting is precisely handing yourself to the thing the surah just warned you about. Read it as holding, and the surah snaps into focus. Time is a current. Most people are carried. The exception is the ones who took hold of something and did not let go. Belief, action, truth, and a grip. And there is one more detail in that last line worth having. The verb is tawasaw, counsel one another. It is a reciprocal form. Both of the last two items are mutual. Truth held between people and sabr held between people. Which means the shortest complete prescription in the Qur'an ends by saying that this grip is not a solitary act. It is something people hold each other to. You are not expected to have the strength of your hold be entirely your own. Now, the caution, because this channel does not do sleight of hand. The classical dictionaries do include endurance in this root's range. Sabr genuinely does carry the sense of bearing up under something over time. If someone tells you the word can mean endurance, they are not wrong. And I am not going to pretend the lexicons say something they don't. What I am arguing is about which sense is the flaw. The physical picture, binding, restraining, holding in place, is the one that explains all the others. It explains the tied animal, the rim of the vessel, the bitter plant, the tethered horse in Al-Imran, the soul held next to the paw in al-Kahf. Endurance is what holding looks like when the pressure lasts. It is the consequence, not the core. And the practical difference between those two readings is the whole reason this matters. If sabr means waiting, then when you are told to have sabr in a hard season, the instruction is, do nothing, and let time carry you out of it. If sabr means holding, the instruction is completely different. It is, what are you holding, and is your grip still on it? Those produce different lives. Two failures come out of the mistranslation, and they are opposite shapes. The first is the one everybody warns about. The person who hears be patient and becomes passive. Prayer slides. Effort stops. Something that could be repaired is left to rot, and the rotting is called sabr. That is not sabr. Nothing is being held. It is a hand opening, described with a word for a hand closing. The second failure is subtler, and I think more common among people who take the religion seriously. It is confusing sabr with suppression, feeling nothing, reporting to everyone that you are fine, presenting a smooth surface, and calling that beautiful sabr. But Yaqub settles that one. He wept until his eyes went white. The Qur'an puts his grief on the record in the same breath as it calls his sabr beautiful. Sabr was never a command to stop feeling. It is a command about where the feeling gets taken. And a man holding something heavy and carrying it to the right place is not a man who feels nothing. And there are two things the passages we went through hand you for the actual practice of it, which be patient never could. The first comes from al-Kahf. If your grip keeps failing in one specific place, the same argument, the same hour of the night, the same person, the instruction is not to squeeze harder. Musa could not outwill his way through 3 events he did not understand, and he was Musa. The question to ask is what you are not seeing. What don't you know about this that would let you get your hands around it? Sometimes the answer is a conversation you have been avoiding, or a fact you have not gone and checked, or a reason you assumed.
Sabr has a handle,
and knowledge is how you find it. The second comes from al-Asr, tawasaw, you hold each other to this. The shortest prescription in the Qur'an does not end with a solitary man gritting his teeth. It ends with people counseling one another to a grip. So if you have been treating your Ṣabr as a private performance that nobody is allowed to see the strain of, the surah is telling you that you have removed the last item on the list. Someone is supposed to be holding the other end of this. So the two questions, and they are the two shapes of failure. First, what have you let go of and called it patience? Second, what are you holding so tightly in front of other people that you have never once taken it to Allah? There is a verse everyone knows, and I want to leave you with it read correctly. Indeed, Allah is with the Sabirin, with those who have Sabr. Every English translation, with those who are patient. And so it gets read as a consolation for people who are waiting quietly. Read it with the root underneath, and it says something else entirely. Allah is with the ones who are holding, not with the ones who are waiting for it to be over, with the ones whose grip has not opened yet, who are still gripping the prayer, still gripping the truth they were told to say, still gripping their position beside people the world would rather they left. That is who the verse is about. And it does not tell you how long the holding lasts, because that was never the subject. The question the word puts to you is not how much longer. It is, what is still in your hand? If this changed how one verse reads for you, put the verse in the comments. Just the number is enough. It tells the platform to put this in front of someone who needs it. This is Word Study 03. Ajal and Waqt is Word Study 01. Huzn is Word Study 02, and they are both on the channel. Subscribe for the rest of the series, and I will see you in the next one, Insha'Allah.